Good morning, everybody. Hello, welcome to my channel. And welcome to another episode of Tea with Lily. Third day in a row. Can you believe it? I cannot believe it. I need to back it up a little bit so this is not so close to you guys. I'll give you your space. Welcome. So today, I want to talk about... Before I do that, I've been meaning to be more consistent with my Tea with Lily stuff. So I want to tell you what I'm drinking. I'm drinking a London Fog, which is a drink that is Earl Grey tea. Can you see it? It's Earl Grey with milk and Splenda and a drop of lavender, so it's lavender tasting, smelling, I don't know. That's what a London Fog is. Technically it's steamed milk, but I'm basic, so it's not steamed in my tea. But another thing, hilarious thing. So, okay, if I had to choose like a social media of choice, like where I spend most of my time on, it's YouTube. I watch a lot of YouTube. I get very familiar with just like the gossip on YouTube and like famous people, I don't know. And in my explorations of YouTube yesterday, I discovered the word tea is a slang word now that means like gossip or like the scoop or the truth or whatever. People use the word tea, like spill the tea on this gossip, the gossip on this event or whatever. Which I didn't know when I like called this Tea with Lily, because I actually drink tea. That's what I do. So I thought that was funny, even though I'm not like gossiping about other people, because I think that's what it is. More like meaning other people. But I'm giving the scoop on like autism and stuff people maybe don't know about. I don't know. So the scoop today I want to talk about, oh gosh, I'm not good at slang, you guys. There's my phone. Is Autism Meltdowns. Okay, so I've been doing a series on autism diagnosis in adulthood. How about I just turn that off? And phone on silent. And so I kind of want to expand that a little bit, not just about the diagnosis in adulthood, but what autism in adulthood looks like for me, because I can only speak from my experience and like what people have shared with me. But today, since yesterday's video was about SIBs, self-injurious behaviors in autism, I figured today I would talk about autism meltdowns in adulthood, how that's maybe different from autism meltdowns in children. So a little bit of backstory on me real quick. I'm autistic. I'm more severely autistic than just like Asperger's or high functioning. I have really violent meltdowns, self-injurious meltdowns, hitting, biting, banging my head. They're pretty bad. So the thing with meltdowns, I think, in general, I wish the world understood better. So for children, it's like this big question of like, what's a meltdown and what's a tantrum? Like, are they just poorly behaved, or are they autistic? Like, the struggle that autistic parents deal with of people thinking that they're just bad parents because their child's screaming on the floor. Like, it's not a tantrum, it's an autism meltdown. It's something that's out of their control, it's neurological, it's not behavioral. Like, it's very different from just like a tantrum or behavioral issue. So just imagine, like, kids, I feel like, have the benefit of the doubt in the sense that like, oh, like, kids don't know any better, maybe they're just poorly behaved, or maybe the tantrum or whatever, like, they have all these excuses that are like explainable, whereas an adult having a like tantrum looking autism meltdown, violent issues, like for me, the way mine are, it's instantly looked at as like, oh, like mental health issue, like you have serious issues, what is your problem, like you're an adult, you should be able to compose yourself, like that sort of thing. So yeah, it's hard. It is hard being an autistic adult and having meltdowns that are really, this jacket is bugging me, really noticeable, you know, and kind of disruptive of the environment and harmful to myself if I don't have someone there with me. But so, okay, crash course, I guess. I'm sorry, I don't really know, like, how to I should think about this more before I sit down and talk to you. Have you guys seen the sheep in my cup? Isn't that adorable? I love sheep. Sheep are my favorite. So what meltdowns are is basically a loss of control. So if you think about what's happening is that our fight or flight response in our body, in our nervous system, the thing that kicks in when we are like in survival mode, like when you think you might die, you know, so that panic response, the heart pounding, like your adrenaline skyrocketing to get you out of danger, like that fight or flight response in response to danger that every human has, basic instinct. What meltdowns are for us, it's like an exaggerated fight or flight response in response to things that aren't life-threatening, actually. Like, so for me, it's either like sensory, like, so if the sensory overload overwhelms our nervous system, instead of responding in a way that would be like proportional to the situation, our fight or flight kicks in and it's telling us basically, we're gonna die, you're gonna die. Like, that's the message our nervous system is receiving, is like, death is imminent, get yourself out, like, figure it out, get, like, it's just this loss of control, total primal instinct of, like, for me, when I had one of my first really bad meltdowns, or my first really bad experiences where I understood, not my first experience of autism meltdowns, but when I understood what was happening, I remember recognizing this urge, like, one of the tip-offs for me is that I'm reaching sort of that fight or flight response is this thought of just like, I have to get out, get out, get out, get out, just repetitive, like feeling trapped, feeling like, you know, I have to get out. So some autistic kids, one of the issues is that they're runners. They will just bolt, they will run, and that's a fight or flight response. Your nervous system is telling you, get away, there's danger, and the response is run, run, run. Like, if you think of, like, if you're in a life-threatening situation, it's not a conscious thought to run and save your life. Like, it's automatic. We have this instinct to survive. So if you think about, like, when our nervous systems are telling us that this is a life and death situation, you know, so you get kids, autistic kids, and I say kids because it's like what is commonly understood, maybe more to the public, the issue of autistic kids being runners. That's why they run, is that it's this fight or flight response of like, oh my gosh, I'm dying, when that's not really what's actually happening, but that's what our nervous system is telling our brains and our bodies. And it's very powerful. So I explain it to people, like, imagine you, like, are standing out on, like, a high bridge or something, and whether you're afraid of heights or not, like, whatever, and, like, your foot slips and you almost fall off, and, like, you could have just died, and so your body is responding, and it's heart pounding, and you're, like, this moment where your life flashes before your eyes, and you're like, holy crap, I could have just fell off and died, like, oh my gosh, like, and there's this fear and this rush of adrenaline, and maybe you're shaking, like, that's your fight or flight response kicking in. That's what that feels like. So imagine experiencing that moment of like, holy crap, I could have just died, your heart pounding, this fear, that like intense, all the things that you're feeling in your body, it's hard for me to explain. Imagine feeling that prolonged, like not just for the moment where you realized you could have just died, but for like 5 or 10 minutes at a time, or like even mounting from a sensory like issue. Imagine feeling that like, oh my gosh, I just died because there was a loud noise all of a sudden and you weren't prepared for it. Like, imagine feeling that fight or flight response for not life or death things. That's what autism meltdowns, or at least that's how they start, or that's what triggers them, is that the fight or flight response is kicking in and in an over-exaggerated way in response to something that isn't actually like requiring, my hair's doing something weird, it's actually not requiring like that level of response. So yeah, so where do I go from here? Yeah, that's basically what meltdowns are. They're not behavioral. It's a total loss of control. Like, imagine when you're responding that way because you almost just died, like, you can't control it. Like, maybe you can, like, try to calm yourself down, and, you know, that's what we deal with, is that, like, trying to have these techniques to calm ourselves down and to regulate our nervous systems. So all the things that can happen in meltdowns is a response to that. Like, so you get the self-injurious behaviors that I talked about in the last video. It's a loss of control. It's like this panic, like trying to grab onto something in our nervous system, trying to find control again in our systems. And so being in control of that sensory input, that loud sensory input of pain, when we're injuring ourselves, that's kind of why that's happening. Having meltdowns as an adult that are more violent, I have the self-injurious behaviors, and meltdowns look different for everybody. They can be violent and self-harming. They can be like, you can just have running, you can have just like bawling your eyes out uncontrollably, like in the fetal position on the floor. Like, it's different for everybody. Every autistic person is different. But I've heard it said that meltdowns are more the external expression of that issue, of that fight or flight, the outward expression, and then you'll have shutdowns, which are the more internal. You suppress, you internalize, you shut down, and it's not outwardly noticeable that things are kind of chaotic, unless you know what you're looking for. Meltdowns suck. They suck. They suck. It is not a fun experience. I don't even have the words to tell you, like, it sucks. When I'm approaching a meltdown, they're so bad usually because I push myself so far, trying so hard to avoid reaching that point of no return, that loss of control, and this sieving to start, where like once it breaks and once I like hit that point of no return and I lose control, like it's pretty bad because I'm trying so hard every step of the way leading up to that to calm down and to avoid reaching the meltdown point. And it's hard, and if you just imagine like what we're experiencing in that moment is out of our control. You know, it's not behavioral, it's not a choice. Like if I had a choice, I would never ever ever have a meltdown ever again, you know, but that's just not the reality. It's a reality of my life that I have to deal with. And so with meltdowns, the thing is it's about preempting them instead of trying to figure out how to deal with meltdowns or deal with the aftermath, or like it's more important to try to figure out how to avoid meltdowns as much as possible rather than trying to figure out how to deal with it in the moment. Yeah, having meltdowns as an adult is hard because you know, there's just so much more shame and embarrassment and stigma to being a 27-year-old having these, you know, look what it looks like from the outside, like a tantrum to somebody or some issue that's in my control and it's not. So my meltdowns are pretty formulaic usually. Once I reach that point of no return and the loss of control, there's the self-injurious behaviors. I'll hit myself or I'll bite myself. I'll bang my head. Usually, like the worst ones, it's like instant, like head banging. That's like point of no return. That's it. I'm gone, and I just have to ride it out and wait for the meltdown to be over, and then recover. So I have the head banging. There's obviously just like there's crying. There's the panic. There's like, you know, I can have a panic attack and a meltdown at the same time. Though they are like kind of different experiences for me. It's not a fun experience, but you know, once it happens, you just have to let it happen. That like there's nothing you can do to stop it really. And at that point, it's about safety for me. If I like I almost, true story, true life, I almost had a meltdown this morning. I'm a little ashamed of that fact because it was like 0 to 100 super fast. I had no chill, because I'm house sitting for my friend Esther and Ollie, who you met. If you've been watching this series, you met in one of the videos. He's hanging out up here on the shelf, on the table, sleeping. I could bring him over here, but I won't. But, so I'm house sitting Ollie, who's a cat. And I woke up this morning, and he usually is like, he would be meowing at my face for food. He loves food. And so I put the food in his bowl, and usually he'd come running when he hears, like, if he hears me go into the kitchen, even. And he wasn't, and I shook his food in his bowl, and I couldn't, and then I looked around the house, and it's a small house, and I couldn't find him. And it was just an instant, like, oh my gosh, I'm freaking out. And a lot of that is the break in the routine. I was used to, like, this is how Ollie responds, this is how it happens. I've never seen him not run to you when there's food involved. And so when that didn't happen, it was just an instant, like, bottoming out of, like, my whole world just felt like, what do I do? What do I do? This is not normal. This is, oh my gosh. And not being able to find a cat who I love very, very dearly, you know, who is entrusted to my care. Like, what happened? Did he get outside? Like, it was instant, like, 0 to 100. I was on the verge of freaking out and having a meltdown and just losing control of, like, my nervous system and that panic that hits. So it's a little, I'm going to try to explain this. So you think of the fight or flight response, that can be triggered by just regular, actual, stressful human things, like thinking I lost my cat or my friend's cat, who was my cat before, and now she has him, but thinking I lost my cat is an actual stressful experience, and it's a spike, like a huge spike in my anxiety level. Like any normal person would have like a moment of really intense anxiety, but for me, my nervous system can't handle that on a normal, like, chill level. My nervous system has no chill. So as soon as that anxiety kicked up my nervous system, that fight or flight, like, it kicked up too fast and too quickly, too fast and too high, for me to, like, maintain control of it. And I was in meltdown territory, and so I called a friend, and I was just like, I'm about to have a meltdown, I can't find my cat, oh my gosh, you know, he almost came over, but then I found him. He was perched and hiding, so all is well, I found my cat. But that just to explain that, like, meltdowns aren't predictable in that way. Like, I can have an actual real stressful experience that will get my nervous system close enough to that fight or flight, like that level of operating, that, like, upregulated, you know, on edge type of state of being for a nervous system, and that can trigger a meltdown because my nervous system over responds to stress like that. There's a lot to be said here. There's shutdowns, there's catatonia, which is also a fight or flight response. Well, technically it's fight or flight or freeze, and catatonia is the freeze response, but I can get into that later. That's a whole other thing. Autistic catatonia is actually my very first video, so check that out. Scroll down. A year ago. My channel's a year old, by the way. Happy birthday, Lilly. Lilly alive. Happy birthday-ish. It's not actually, but close. We're in the month. About a year ago, my channel. Woo! Moment to celebrate. Let's take a moment to celebrate and drink tea. Ah. I should, so, yeah. Yeah, so that's meltdowns. I feel like I've said enough, well enough to end this video. Yeah, so if you have any questions about meltdowns or whatever, it's a complicated subject and I'm sure I'll revisit it. So random other thing that I need you guys' interaction in the comments. I'm thinking about doing Tea with Lilly live every once in a while or forever. If you're into that, we can do some live tea with Lilly and you guys can have your tea with me and it would be so awesome. We'll have a tea party. Oh my gosh. Yeah, so I'm gonna have a live tea party. If you guys are into that, tell me in the comments. Because I'm not gonna do a live thing if nobody's gonna be there. Like, I'm not gonna plan a tea party and show up by myself. It'd be really sad. So if you guys are into that, like a live tea party and we can talk about anything, I don't know. Let me know in the comments and that can be something I can try to schedule for my vlog. Because I need to get more intentional about scheduling with this channel. But that's Autism Meltdowns from the perspective of an adult. And yeah, like, subscribe, comment, and interact with me. And yeah. The end. That's all, my friends. Stay classy, stim freely, and you're welcome for the tea on autism. The scoop. Oh, I can't get over that. That's all I have for you today, my friends. Stick around. I've got more stuff probably coming your way, as I usually promise, and then fairly often don't deliver because my life is chaos. The end, and goodbye, my friends.